Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Chairman. Your Excellencies, distinguished governors, special guests, Mr. Chairperson of the Governing Council, once again, welcome to this 41st session of the Governing Council of IFAD. Allow me, first of all, to thank our keynote speakers, Her Excellency Sheikh Hasina, Prime Minister of Bangladesh, and His Excellency José Arista Arbildo, Minister for Agriculture and Irrigation of Peru. I also would like to applaud the excellent work of the Governing Council under the leadership of the outgoing Bureau chaired by India, and welcome the members of the new Bureau of the Governing Council, the Chairperson, the Governor for the Kingdom of the Netherlands, Hans Hoogeveen, and the two Vice Chairpersons, the Governor for the Republic of Argentina, Ambassador Maria Cristina Boldorini, and the Governor for the Republic of Indonesia, Ronald Silaban. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, a year ago, you entrusted me with this heavy responsibility and noble responsibility, that of the presidency of IFAD. I cannot thank you enough for your confidence. Today, I believe it more than ever before. My belief is that we must be ambitious. I believe that we must redouble our efforts to eliminate hunger and poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, the rural world is calling out to us. And our world today is experiencing situations of great suffering and great fragility. Let us recall, looking at the current global challenges, that today close to 700 million people live in a situation of extreme poverty. 850 million are suffering from hunger and malnutrition. Let us also recall that 200 million children are stunted or wasted, even emaciated. Roughly 130 million people are in need of humanitarian aid. 2017 was a year in which we witnessed a series of extreme weather events, and unfortunately, it was also one of the warmest years on record. Also, in 2017, more than 250 million people crossed borders, often at the risk of their own lives, and they did so to flee from conflict, to flee from natural disasters, to escape from poverty, and also despair. And this was a record level. And speaking of records, today, roughly 1.2 billion young people are living in our world, and most of these young people live in rural areas of developing countries. These young people are a source of hope and vitality, but as we know very well, there is a stark lack of jobs. These young people are 2 to 3 times more likely to be jobless compared to adults. And despite their unique knowledge and skills, 370 million indigenous peoples are fighting to survive. They account for 5% of the global population, but also 15% of the poorest of the poor. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are embarking on the 3rd year of the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals. And investing in rural areas is part of the solution, enabling us to achieve these objectives. Why is that so? Because simply that is where hunger and poverty are concentrated. 80% of the poorest people of our planet live in rural areas. And a large share of these people, obviously, are young. And a large part of these people are small-scale farmers, smallholders who cannot survive on what they produce. The transformation of the rural world into more dynamic, more vibrant economies opens up a range of opportunities and can strongly contribute to eliminating hunger and poverty and offer an alternative to migration for economic reasons. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in this context, IFAD, to me, seems to be a vital necessity, and I claim this boldly. You would not expect me to do otherwise, but it is a fact all the same. Today, more than ever before, the world needs IFAD's services, and it needs them throughout the entire value chain. But we also have the duty of recognizing the fact that our world is changing. And if our model has worked well up until now, we have to be ready to evolve. We have to intensify our work. And we have to do so rapidly because we only have 12 more years to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Dear delegates, ladies and gentlemen, my goal, my ambition is that IFAD should have a much greater impact. We must, and I know that we can, amplify and step up our efforts. Last year, we engaged in a process of transformation of IFAD to upscale our operations. And this means improving the quality, the impact, but also simply increasing the volume of operations. Of course, that will entail the need for more resources and a more strategic resource allocation system. It means a bolstered operational capacity and enhanced collaboration with our partners. In the last 10 months, we have had, I believe, some very positive outcomes. We have made major strides forward in renewing our financial and operational architecture. Having a stronger impact means working more closely with the rural communities that we serve. We will continue along the path towards decentralizing part of our organization and operations. We want to go from 15 to 25% of our impact in the field, of our personnel in the field, side by side with the populations that we serve. At the same time, we are adopting a series of measures that will help us make IFAD an organization that is more results and impact-oriented. And here, I would like to mention the very recent adoption of the Plan of Action for increasing transparency and access to data, IFAD data for the public. The availability, the quality and accessibility of data is a way to increase development and to generate trust and confidence between you and us, the donors, between us and our beneficiaries. We also are reviewing our financial models. Contributions from member states are and will continue to be the bedrock of IFAD resources. But in an ever-changing world, IFAD must be ready to innovate and explore additional complementary sources of funding. What's at stake is the volume of resources, but also the adoption of a strategy to diversify. IFAD's objective to expand its borrowing opportunities, in particular from governments and their institutions, but also through market borrowing, if and when the right time appears, according to the discretion of our executive board and obviously of the governing council. This transformation of IFAD is fully aligned with the reform process of the United Nations. We are evolving to be able to help countries better towards the 2030 horizon. We are evolving to have more of an impact in the field and to be closer to the rural populations. And we are also cooperating more with our partners, including FAO and WFP. And this means not only that we are implementing a number of projects together, but also that we are striving to coordinate our efforts better so as to have a more powerful impact in the future. To respond to the most pressing challenges of our times, IFAD will place a greater emphasis on areas of work relating to nutrition, to gender equality, to climate and environment-related issues, and to youth, to mainstream these dimensions in all of our operations. IFAD also plans to strengthen its role as a catalyst for financial development, to increase the resources available for the transformation of the rural world. The private sector is already a privileged partner in our projects and will continue to be so in the future at a local level. Involving the private sector means that smallholder farmers can have a better access to markets, to technologies, to innovations, and this is of the essence. But we want more than that. We want to work together to increase private investment in the rural area, in particular to help small-scale farmers and small-scale agribusinesses develop their activities and stimulate the transformation of the rural areas in this way. As we all know, private sector investment is necessary to achieve the sustainable development goals. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I've already said that we must be ambitious, but we also have to keep a close watch over situations of marked by great fragility. A growing number of people are living in areas that are highly unstable, conflict-affected, with weak institutions and a lack of sound governance. We all know very well that this type of fragility jeopardizes the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. It can wipe out decades of development effort. These situations of great fragility are the root cause of hunger and poverty and migration. But hunger and poverty in turn also generate conflict and instability. It is therefore abundantly clear that IFAD has an essential role to play here. Sustainable and inclusive investments in rural area development makes it possible to build the long-term resilience of populations and to address these situations of fragility. And looking at the challenges of the rural world, IFAD has raised the bar and become even more ambitious. Over the last 10 months, IFAD has been undergoing this process of transformation to help millions of people leave poverty behind, and I would like to thank member states for their unfailing support. I am also extremely grateful to those who have already made their financial pledges. Thanks to them, our program of loans and grants in IFAD 11 will be set at 3.5 billion, which is a 10% increase over IFAD 10. This response is the signal that we were looking forward to. IFAD is moving in the right direction. But we certainly must not slacken our efforts. Together, we must continue to be ambitious, and our ambition is to offer a dignified and happy future to millions of children, women, and men. What matters is that we transform the rural world with dignity. Thank you.